And it's great to be with you. Hope you're having a wonderful Monday afternoon. We certainly are. We're about to bring back some lovely memories. You know, for 105 years, Her Majesty's Theatre in Grote Street has been the entertainment centre for Adelaide audiences. Everything from vaudeville to comedy to high-end drama. What's your fondest memory? Give us a call. Perhaps it's standing at the back door waiting for a glimpse of your hero, Dame Judi Dench or Spike Milligan. 8223 0000. Give us a call. We'd love to hear your memories. Well, the beautiful old theatre is the centre of attention at the moment, of course, with the Adelaide Festival underway. But when that's all over, she's in for a major refit. It's a $66 million transformation, so she certainly will be the centre of attention for a lot of hard hats. It's a really exciting project. And to tell us about the plans, it's a very good afternoon to Liz Hawkins from the Adelaide Festival Centre, which, of course, runs Her Majesty's, or the Maj, as it's called. Hi.
Hello.
Exciting times ahead.
It is
for the old girl.
Exciting.
We're allowed to call it the old girl, aren't we?
Absolutely.
Gala opening 1931. Of course, it began life as the Tivoli.
Yes, it did. It did. The old Tivoli Theatres, if you don't know much about them, they were established by that great English music hall comedian Harry Rickards. Back in 1893, the first Tivoli, I believe, opened in Sydney. You know, the home of vaudeville, all sorts of interesting. He had this company that was called the New Tivoli Minstrel and Grand Specialty Company. And it really had the best.
What a great title.
It is a great title. It really had the best, best of vaudeville and that type of comedy for probably 70 years. And by the turn of the century, ultimately, we had a Tivoli Theatre in almost every capital city. And then 1913, of course, was Adelaide. And
it's had some big names through the years, isn't it?
Has. The Whoopi Goldbergs of the year. Obviously Barry Humphries. He has promised that he is leaving behind his ghost to haunt it when he passes on. If you see our signature wall, now we have a signature wall that's had autographs.
Now, I was going to ask you about that. Yeah, a lot of the big names have left their mark literally on the wall.
Literally on the wall. And we're actually we're taking that down brick by brick and recreating it in the new theatre. So yes, we've just been to lots of meetings about how that happens, but yes, it's recreated. So it'll be fantastic.
Let's just say exactly what's going to happen. The theatre is going to be brought more up to date, but you're also expanding sideways, aren't you?
We are indeed. So essentially, when the theatre opened in 1913, it actually had a capacity of 2,300. So it was on 3 levels. One of those levels, as we call it, up in the gods, was so steep it wouldn't be legal now. So back in the 60s...
You had to pop your ears when you went up there.
Clearly. Yeah. And the staircase was outside. If you look at the doorway, you had to enter from outside to get up to the cheap seats up in the top. But essentially, that was part of the renovation in the 60s and then further in the 70s, where they put a false ceiling in there and closed that area off and dropped the capacity down to 960, which is not really commercially viable. So a couple of years ago, the Festival Centre Trust and actually the foundation purchased the building next door that's right to the west. Mm-hmm. And what we're doing is essentially putting all of the amenities, the bar spaces, the gallery spaces into that side, and then we can drop a whole new theatre inside the heritage facade to bring that capacity back up to 1,500 and really create a spectacular theatre, once again, on 3 levels.
Fantastic. It's really exciting, isn't it? Of course, 1962, let's take a bit of a trip down memory lane. This is 1962, when the old girl was actually officially named and reopened as Her Majesty's Theatre.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight, Adelaide's 49-year-old Tivoli Theatre in Grote Street makes a comeback, reviving nostalgic memories of its glorious opening night of 1913. But now, only a shell remains of the old Tivoli as we knew it in those days. Around this shell has been built the finest live theatre in the Southern Hemisphere. Her Majesty's Theatre, remodelled by J.C. Williamson Theatres Limited at a cost of £300,000. In just under 30 minutes, the Premier, Sir Thomas Playford, will open the theatre from the stage after the arrival of His Excellency the Governor, Sir Edric Bastian and Lady Bastian, and the official party.
A lot of pomp and ceremony there, wasn't there?
There certainly was. That's fantastic. I've never heard that.
That's great, isn't it? So it must have been a real landmark point for the Adelaide, theatre movement.
I think, it definitely has been an Adelaide landmark. And if you look at the history, there were community groups. There was performances during the war. I mean, it's really a theatre that's been used by, I think, everybody in the community. And certainly, the number of names and changes has been extraordinary. But everybody has a memory of being in that theatre and possibly being up there at the community singing, on a Sunday afternoon up in that highest, Grand Circle level.
Would love to hear your memories if you've got any and you want to share. 8223 0000. Some big names: Lauren Bacall, W.C. Fields, Whoopi Goldberg, as you said, Spike Milligan, Rowan Atkinson, Dame Judi Dench. She was only here last or year before, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Fairly recently.
Yes, it was.
Ronnie Corbett, Angela Lansbury, you name it, they've been there.
They have.
And they've, as you say, all left their mark on that wall. I'm fascinated to see that you're going to take the wall down and put it up again.
I'm photographing it first just to make sure everything goes
I hope you are.
Smoothly.
Yeah. Do you know about the ghost? Can you tell us anything about the ghost that's allegedly living there?
Well, there was a death on opening night in 1913, and basically it was one of the stagehands, one of the mechs up at the top had a heart attack up in the grid.
It was a heart attack, was
it?
Yes,
that's our understanding.
Yeah.
And died, and things were slightly delayed. There was more pomp and circumstance, I think, back in the 1913 opening. But there have definitely been, if you talk to Kelvin or any of the people that have been in that theatre or some of our stagehands and mechs that have worked there for 20, 30 years, odd things happen. Lights have gone on and off, when there's only one person in the building. Doors have shut. There's all sorts of things that have happened. So many a story, and many of artists has said that they have felt something, or they're just positive that somebody else was there in a dressing room, or something's moved when they know that nobody else has been in there. So quite fascinating. So I don't know if Barry Humphries is going to battle the ghost. I'm not sure who's going to win there.
Yeah, I was going to say I put my money on Barry, quite frankly. Of course, it wouldn't be a theatre without a ghost.
No,
without
it
a ghost
wouldn't.
bumping around there behind the flat somewhere. Brett's at Holden Hill. He's got a memory of Her Majesty's. G'day, Brett.
How you going, guys?
Yeah, good. What's your favourite memory?
I saw Harry Connick Jr. there 10 or more years ago, and what was kind of funny about it all was I was paid extra from my work to fly home from Canberra early to go and see it, and so I was delayed by 5 hours, so I was a little bit late getting to the concert, and my wife was incredibly unhappy with me as soon as we got in. So I was arguing all the way from the airport. As soon as we got inside, all the arguments disappeared, and it was just incredible. And then he'd obviously been to the Central Market that particular day, and started explaining to everybody how it was amazing that they had goat and camel and emu for sale. So he brought an electric frying pan stuck on top of his grand piano and started cooking meat and feeding the people in the audience.
On the stage?
Oh, yeah, he was. I've been a massive fan of his forever, and he's standing right next to me with a bowl of meat, and it was just the weirdest thing I've ever seen. But memories-wise, you just couldn't beat it. It was just fantastic.
That's great story, Brett. Thanks so much for sharing that with us. There you go. Some of the things, eh? I don't know whether that'll be repeated in years to come with the new look.
I quite like that, though.
Yeah, I do. The important thing, though, with now, how many with this redevelopment? How many seats?
1,474.
Right. What do we have at the Festival Theatre?
1,946.
Right. So this is a good in-between. This will mean, the big plan, isn't it, will mean we will be able to bring some shows that currently or in the past we've missed out on because of seat availability, theatre size, etc.
Absolutely. So a lot of, some of the major running musicals, the Disney musicals, really need to sit in a theatre for anywhere up to 10 to 12 weeks. And we've never been able to give them that opportunity. We have a lot of very important commitments to our home companies, to the opera, to the orchestra. So to find that, space within the theatre is difficult. And it's been a continuing challenge as now and more Adelaide is really back on the market for major musicals. We definitely have the audience and the capacity. Producers want to come, but we're the only capital city with just one lyric theatre in the city. So to build this second theatre is really, really important. Bring in additional, 50 performances a year. That's, $40 million worth of box office over 4 years. It's quite extraordinary.
So that's the big strategy of this whole thing. For people who are thinking, why are we wasting money on this area? We're not wasting money. It is the overall strategy to keep us on or put us back on the market.
Absolutely.
Because a few things have flown over our heads.
They have. indeed.
This will put us back on the market and keep us on the market. And, of course, as you say, bring that revenue into the town.
Absolutely. And keep
important.
people here instead of having to go interstate to see some of those major shows.
Yeah, no, really, really good point. I think it's a great initiative. Pat's at Elizabeth West, or Elizabeth East, sorry, Pat. You've got a memory from a few years ago?
Yes, I have. 1943, during the war, I was in the Air Force here stationed in Adelaide, and I went to see, I was on the stage with Jack Davey in a quiz question.
Yes.
And I've never forgotten the question he asked me, and he asked me what was a velocipede, and to his surprise I knew.
What was the question again?
Beg your pardon?
What was the question again?
What is a velocipede? Don't you know?
No, come on, put us out of our misery.
A bike.
A bike?
Yes.
Is it?
Yes, a push bike.
Did you know that?
No,
I didn't know that either. We're all looking at each other here, Pat. Well done. I'll tell you what. Here.
Yeah.
You better call back for the quick quiz at 2:30, Pat.
I beg your pardon?
You better call back for the quick quiz at 2:30, but we do a little bit later on.
Just one more quick. There was a comedian I also went to see. I can't remember his name, but a couple of us arrived late in uniform because of duties we'd had to perform, and he called us out in front of the audience.
Oh.
And we were so embarrassed.
As late arrivals.
But it was a fantastic show. He was. I wish I could remember his name. He was really good. He was an Australian, of course. We didn't have international visitors in those days.
No.
I have been since, but I just wanted to mention those two.
Lovely story, Pat. Thanks so much for calling. All the best. We'll continue to talk about the great history and memory of Her Majesty's Theatre, which is about to undergo its biggest facelift ever. We'll continue that conversation after the break, so keep your thoughts and memories coming, 8223 0000. And we'll also hear the terrifying story that we almost sold it. It was almost bulldozed way back, not that many years ago. We'll explain that further. We're talking about our wonderful memories of Her Majesty's Theatre in Grote Street here in Adelaide, which is about to undergo a $66 million transformation. It's really, really exciting stuff. The façade of the building will be maintained, that beautiful character of the building, but backstage it's going to be state-of-the-art, which is really exciting stuff. And we've got Liz Hawkins. Oh, I shudder, Liz, when I look at your title, Director of Programming and Development. Your ulcers must be so big in your tummy.
I have a great job.
You do have a great job. It really must be an exciting job. As I said before the break, we almost lost the theatre back in the 1970s. The owners at the time put it on the market, and of course the big fear was that it was going to be bulldozed, and, because it's prime real estate, isn't it? Right over the road from the market.
It's absolutely prime real estate. And now, I mean, it was such, foresight to actually save that theatre, because it's the last of the Tivoli theatres in the country. There are no other theatres like that.
Is this the very last one?
Very last one.
Is it?
Very last one.
So it would have been a pretty sad day.
It would have been a sad day. And, there have been other times throughout the course of the year where I feel like we've almost lost it. But I think that, the city really has come around it. We recognize that it's really, really important to our community, but also to our economy.
Yeah. Well, luckily in that era when it was being touted as being put on the market, for development and so forth, Don Dunstan, of course, as we know, the festival happened under him. The Festival Centre was built under Don and so forth. He stepped in, and that's when the government purchased the theatre.
Which has been an incredible asset, I think.
Yeah, and it's been part of the portfolio ever since. I think that was 1979 it was, in March 1979. It was relaunched as the Opera Theatre.
Yes. It's had more names.
I was going to say, we had the Tivoli, then it became something, and then it became the Princess, then it became the Opera Theatre, then Her Majesty's. I don't know how this all changed. Why Her Majesty's? Do you know the story behind that?
I actually don't. There's a great book that has been written by Frank Van Straten, and it's all about the history of Her Maj, and it's got a lot of the original pictures and artists and everything in there. And I know that story is in there, but I'm not sure. Some of the other name changes have been significant, I think, but this one, not exactly sure.
No plans to change the name.
Definitely not.
No. So it's her Madge.
Her Madge, she stays.
She's staying. Now, of course, one of the big names, we've talked about a few big names, and still happy to hear your memories of Her Majesty's. If you want to give us a call, 8223 0000. One of the big names, of course, who has been a real force behind the campaign to have the theatre saved and also done up is Barry Humphries.
He has.
He's got some very nice stories to tell, hasn't he?
He's got fantastic stories. He really believes, he always says that it's his absolute favourite theatre in the world.
But they all say that. Do you reckon he's being fair dinkum?
I do. I've never heard him say that anywhere else. And I've heard him say it on other theatres across the country that Her Majesty's in Adelaide's the favourite. And I think, he's probably performed there more than any other single artist that we've had. Probably about between 7 and 10 times, I think, throughout his career. And he just says that there's something about the feel of that theatre. The theatres that were built in that era have tremendous acoustics. The way that they were designed, they're very intimate, even though they seem to be quite large. So he's been very protective of the redevelopment as well as being just such a strong advocate.
And that's why he's been the patron,
yes,
hasn't he?
Incredible patron.
But you were saying before the break that even backstage, the fly system and so forth, it's almost 100 years old, but it still works perfectly and it's wonderful to operate.
It is wonderful to operate. Obviously, the ropes have been changed, just in case anyone's...
Occupational health and safety.
Occupational health and safety. And the whole system, we'll bring in a brand new system. But interestingly enough, we're still going to bring in a hand system, not a motorized system. And once again, that's a choice, really. We can always bring in hand motors for those sets that require them. But, it's a choice to have that additional sensitivity. So the theatre, consultants that we're working with advise us to do that. And, of course, our tech crew are thrilled that that's the way that it's going to be.
How long is this all going to take? How long is she going to be out of action for?
Well, she's essentially about 18 months. So she closes. We literally hand her over to the builders on the 3rd of April. And we anticipate getting canned back kind of over the end of 2019, soft launching in early 2020, and certainly ready for the Adelaide Festival when that happens in March of 2020. Probably before, though.
New seats?
No, but our seats are only 2 years old. So so those seats are not going to be replaced, and we'll bring in other seats like that. But and this is the highlight. Of course, the seats in that theatre right now are very close together, which is one of the biggest complaints, and that will change.
That's what I was getting at when I said new seats.
The distance between the seats will change. It will move to close to what the Festival Theatre is, which is almost a meter between the rows.
Yeah.
And several more aisles and just lifts to every single level. Your whole customer experience will be phenomenal, comparatively speaking, to what it has been recently. So
the big crescendo will happen on the 24th of March.
It will indeed.
And some big names.
Well, it's really exciting. So these are people, it's such a rich history around that theatre. So these are people who have performed there, who are coming back really to donate their time. This is a fundraiser. We are charged with raising between $3 to $5 million for the project ourselves. So this is part of our fundraising campaign. And it will be Robin Archer, Johanna Allen, Michaela Berger, Cameron Goodall, Nancy Hayes, Ali McGregor, Meow Meow will be back. And also Phil Skinner. I don't know if you've ever interviewed her. So Phil Skinner is the last of the original Tivoli tappers. So she's in her 90s. Yeah. She's absolutely phenomenal. If you think back then, these had, international vaudeville acts, comedians, dancers, but also what they called scantily clothed chorus girls. And they were known as scantily dressed as you can be at the turn of the century. But these were known as the Tivoli tappers. And so Phil is the last living Tivoli tapper.
And she's coming.
And she'll be there.
Is she going to tap?
Probably not, but she's got more stories than anybody.
I bet you. What a fantastic event that's going to be.
It will be really exciting. And as I said, the proceeds go to the building campaign.
It is purely and simply going into the refit. Tickets are still available.
They are. They can be purchased through Bass or just on through the Adelaide Festival Centre.
Go to bass.net.au or you can call Bass on 131246. That's 131246. And I'd suggest to book because the tickets are going to be pretty hot, I would imagine, the closer it gets. They are.
That's, the last time you'll get to see the theatre in its current state.
Yeah. So you can say, I was there.
And saw the 1970s chandelier for the last time.
That's right. Yes, absolutely. Hey, listen, good luck, Liz. I'll talk to you again halfway through the year and see how it's going. We'll get an update and see how the ulcers are. No, I'm sure it'll be going fantastic. Really exciting stuff, as the Adelaide being the festival state, as we keep on spruiking. And this is just one of the reasons
Thank you.
Lovely to meet you, and good luck with the hard hat.
Thanks.
All right.